All right. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here with such an accomplished and esteemed group of individuals. And in the interest of time, because this is a very rich and fascinating topic, let's get right down to it. So I'm going to ask each of the panelists their thoughts about the following. To share with us what they think are the 1 to 3 most compelling or significant emerging technologies in the cityscape today. So let me start with the Deputy Minister, Musad Al-Tabi.
Hi, welcome. Yeah.
What would you answer, the 1 to 3 most
Yes.
significant?
Actually, when it comes to the urban scape, maybe we look at it at Mumra as a group of smart solution services being integrated together to offer better city services for our citizens. This is the number one. Number two, when it comes to emerging technology or leveraging the emerging technologies to offer services for our citizens, we have to not to think about the technology first. We have to think about what is the business problem first. So we start with the problem definition. We start with city challenges. For each city, there is a unique challenge for a city. You cannot have like one size fit all solution, and you cannot make one solution is available for all cities. For example, in Riyadh, maybe we have challenges with the traffic. We have challenges maybe with certain urban planning area. Other cities like Jeddah or Dammam is different challenges with different proposition. So when it comes to leveraging those emerging tech solutions, we have to consider what is the business problem for the city and for the citizen in that city. Then build up the solution that can fix that problem. And when it comes to the emerging tech, actually the fact is always it is emerging tech. It's new. It is something not being applied widely, even in the world. So you have to build it in agile way where you can have this product or have this solution in certain area and make the value proposition, make the impact, then scale with the caution movement, considering that it is emerging tech. Now, for the questions, what are maybe the 3 significant emerging tech potentials for the future of the cities or the future of the urban plan? I would go with smart insight, leveraging data and big data. The IoT or the smart city solutions is always contributing huge data. So we need to invest a lot when it comes to smart insight. Those smart insights can give better operation for our cities. This is number one. Number two, we need to consider AI with the IoT. We should not take the IoT as by design, but we need to plug in the AI with it. That will give better operation maintenance for our for the city infrastructure services, for example, for the smart lighting, for the smart infrastructure of the city. When we plug the AI and IoT, it will drive for a huge impact. The third one is about AI with computer vision. The computer vision is about recognizing or image recognition, leveraging the computer vision technology to detect a lot of services or inspection in the city itself. So AI with computer vision has a huge and significant impact driving the future of our urban landscape.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Shara, your thoughts?
Well, I can say, wow, can we just agree with what he said? He just set the stage perfectly. Well, we look at, so cityscape is a view or an image of a city, right? And it will be great if we add the word smart to it. So a smart view or smart image of a city, or maybe smart city, right? And a friend of mine argued that smart is not smart enough. They were now talking about cognitive cities, right? But I'll leave that argument to NEOM, our friends in NEOM and my friend Joseph to perhaps defend that. But we look at smart city from three main pillars. The first one is services, services within the city. So technologies that has an impact to make services easier, faster, and better. The second element is data, and obviously all the things that Deputy Minister mentioned about how the insights and the AI play a major role on enhancing the services, as well as the third element, which is the ICT infrastructure within the city. So any technology that is out there that can improve the efficiency and the management of the city being deployed in the infrastructure that can generate data, and obviously from the data we can make decision-making much easier, much efficient. I think those the three elements that we look at from a smart city.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Othman Al-Dahash, your thoughts?
Thank you, Joseph, for this interesting question, and thanks to my colleagues' panel here. I think Musa'ad gave a nice orchestration about problem definitions and the technologies being used, and Dr. Maher even added to it. Maybe to add, plus what Musa'ad mentioned about IoT, AI, as a foundational emerging technologies for smart and sustainable cities. I would add to this edge computing and 5G. The type of services and solutions that cities are looking at today and the type of problems that need to be solved will require faster and powerful processing, and that happening at the edge, much closer to the IoT devices and to the AI and algorithms to be processed. And this can't happen without edge computing deployed at city scale and with the 5G connectivity that brings the low latency there. So there is a foundations of technologies and emerging technologies that has to take a place for applying these use cases that bring the sustainability forward.
Thank you. Faraz Albanyan, your thoughts?
Thanks, Joseph. I think our colleague Musa'ad covered a big portion of the...
Yeah, because I am the first one.
Being first.
First to come. And also Uthman, I think just to add on what Uthman mentioned regarding 5G, as a developer and operator of smart cities, it's essential to have that infrastructure that can support the future options and facilities that are going to be provided in smart cities. So 5G and beyond, the future connectivity, that's fundamental to future development. And I'll add to that one thing regarding AI. I know we talked a lot about it, but from a developer perspective, I think AI predictive, data-driven analysis will support developers to actually make the enhanced decisions in terms of asset management, investment allocation, and also resource management that can, as a result, provide a city that is differentiated for future urban dwellers.
Thank you. And Matthew?
Yeah, so everyone's obviously had their say. I think AI, data, and everything else, I don't want to repeat. So for me, I'm going to pick a couple of different emerging technologies. So firstly, quantum technology and quantum artificial intelligence. So when we have a look at cities, they create a huge amount of information which quantum computers combined with artificial intelligence will be superb at optimizing in real time. Secondly, we have self-evolving artificial intelligences already coming through with companies like Google and DeepMind. So the artificial intelligences that we embed within a smart city operating system can now understand the best way to optimize the city. So they design their own algorithms, and then they deploy their own algorithms, which leads into lots of different sort of other conversations. But then in addition to that, we've got other things that we wouldn't necessarily think of as technology, but things like materials. So we have self-healing infrastructure. Yeah, when we have a look at the amount of money that most governments spend on maintaining roads, buildings, bridges, and so on and so forth, it typically takes up 80% of a government's budget. So using biomineralization, where we have bacteria in concrete, for example, we can create self-healing infrastructure. If in asphalt you put magnets or magnetic filings into asphalt, it can heal itself. And then finally, we've probably got to put in 3D printed buildings in there, because again, one of the biggest problems that many cities have is upgradability. You know, when we have a look at really any building, and NEOM basically will have this problem in the future, we can embed a way to upgrade the technologies within the city. So we can increase to terabit fiber on the networks and so on and so forth. We can improve AI. You know, sensors and so forth, we can spray those on a wall. But fundamentally, when we actually have a look at how we try to tear down part of a city that is no longer fit for purpose, like we saw with Egypt projects, 3D printing, we can 3D print buildings now 90% faster and 90% cheaper than ever before. And that can apply to roads, bridges, infrastructure, hospitals, government buildings, residential buildings, office buildings. So that's a little bit off the reservation, but that's my emerging technology take.
Not at all. It's very rich answers. In any one of these topics that these gentlemen spoke to, we could spend an hour on. So it's a tough challenge for us right now. Let's go on to speaking about innovative cityscapes. And if I could ask the Deputy Minister, what are some compelling examples from your work of innovative cityscapes, and what has been the impact thus far?
Actually, I will just go with two examples in short. One was the smart inspection for visual pollution. This is kind of business as usual in our city operation across the kingdom, maybe 17 cities. Business as usually, we do these operations. The customer satisfaction overall in the kingdom was around 35%. Then we started a journey of implementing smart inspection operation, leveraging AI, leveraging computer vision, leveraging the community engagement. We published like an application, Snap and Send, for our citizen to participate in our combat against the visual pollution. Simply the impact after maybe 1 or 2 years, the impact was the customer satisfaction and the way we operate our cities raised from 35% to 65%. And municipal benchmark worldwide, the municipal service is always when it comes to satisfaction, is always between 65 to 75. This is the norm. Previously, we were around 35, and within 1 or 2 years, leveraging those technologies together, we enhanced our operation with this significant impact and the customer satisfaction. That comes without extra spend in our infrastructure. We just play smart. That's it. We embedded tools. We know the priorities. We know where is the risk area, where is the impact in the city. Then we drive our journey toward that without spending a lot in our infrastructure just to maintain our city operations. This is one example. The other example is about the smart waste management, which is a solution have been applied in Jeddah. The solution is leveraging the IoT, leveraging a new business model have been implemented between the ecosystem of the waste collection, let's say. During the value that have been realized within 2 years, financially, just one KPI, the amount of the cost of operation, actually, the cost of operation of waste collection in Jeddah in 2020 was 78 million riyal a year. So they allocate like a budget of 78 million to clean or to collect this waste. Now, after implementing this solution during maybe 2 years, in 2022, the cost of operation reduced from 78 million a year into 4 million a year.
Wow.
So, and this is just one example in this vertical when it comes to smart or a smart environment. That's it.
Thank you. That's quite an accomplishment. Dr. Shara.
Well, what a great example. Actually, when we are thinking of next generation, I always think of my kids, obviously, right? So this is the new generation. And I had a talk a few days back with my 12 years old. How does he envision the city of the future? This is out of context, but we will get there.
Yeah, please.
So, and to answer, to get to his answer, I think we should first imagine the real estate business. And if we look at that, I think the obvious challenge back then was the financial element of it. How do you finance, to build such a real estate? I'm just giving one example. And then the fintech was out there, right, to address those challenges of financing and mortgages and all of that. But because this is a 19% of the GDP of the world, the market is huge and the opportunities are great. The PropTech was born, right, out of the fintech, where it's more focused on the real estate challenges itself. But if we look at it from a commercial point of view, from the ideation part to addressing the land or selecting a land, to applying for the permits, to the insurance, to the contractors, to the building itself, to the supply chain, there is a huge opportunity on this entire value chain. And I think when I look at it from a process point of view, and immediately you think, how can you make it faster, cheaper, and better? Then immediately what comes to my mind is blockchain somehow. I'm not saying that this is the solution, but it could be. And it's actually interesting how blockchain, a decentralized ledger that provide transparency and yet secure your data, can introduce such solution that can reduce the cost. Now, if the cost is reduced, and this is the tricky part, you can tokenize the process. And then, and this is where my kids comes in, yeah? When you tokenize the process, you can actually now own a share in a building without owning a flat.
Yeah.
And this is where he came to me and he said, well, I spent a few hours playing on this game, and guess what? Now I own a property in City X. So it's actually interesting if we take that to the metaverse, and I think Dr. Dirk spoke about the metaverse for a few minutes. Now you have a virtual city, and you have virtual assets and a virtual landscape, and you can look at how can you mimic the physical assets with the virtual assets. And of course, some technologies that are out there that can help us a lot, and I think we've used some of them, is digital twin. We looked at how can we turn the efficiency of the city to make it more efficient by deploying such technologies and trying it out and applying those maintenance on the digital version before we actually apply it on reality. And the fact that they're linked makes it even more efficient. But back to reality, an example I want to give is how did we set up in the last 2 years with our great partner, Sedaya. I don't know if you know Sedaya. It's the Saudi Data and AI Authority. And I think they deserve a round of applause for the amazing work that they did in the kingdom. But we co-developed a center that has data from all over the operation centers in the city. And that is step one toward having a smart city operation center. And we've run a pilot in one of the mega events in Riyadh, and the number was amazing. The fact that you can now visualize data and visualize the city around the event and the impact of that event on the city and the impact of the city on that event gives you a lot of insights on how can you manage traffic, ambulance, crowd management, etc. So that was one experience that we did, and we've managed to reduce traffic by around 36% on that same area compared to the previous year. And what was interesting, because we introduced other modes of transport, public transportation and shuttle services, we've realized that there is a huge appetite from consumers on using those modes of transport. And we were targeting 30% of the modes of transport to be used toward the event and from the event, and we've actually achieved 45%. That was a great achievement in our opinion. And the bottom line here is that we've avoided a catastrophic situation that happened in the previous events, the previous years, just by bringing the right partners, and some of them are with us right here in the panel, at that one room, looking at the data from different entities. So bringing together those elements helped a lot on making the city more efficient and more robust.
Yeah. Thank you. Taras, could you share your thoughts on this?
Sure. Thanks, Joseph. Again, from our perspective, a current example is our latest project that we're currently developing in the heart of Riyadh. It's called STC Squared. Its purpose is to serve as a smart business community. In terms of design, from the design up, we designed the project with to meet the highest standards of sustainability, and it's LEED certified. And the goal is to find a smart community that's unique, that's never been done in the kingdom before, to date, I mean. I'm sure there's many projects that are going to come in that, but so the project offers a wide range, for example, of smart energy solutions with the goal to optimize energy efficiency, reduce our carbon footprint, example being advanced lighting systems. Some of the service we got is smart energy metering solutions that can allow businesses and households to monitor their power consumption in real time, and helping them to make a better decision on how to reduce their energy waste. Additionally, in terms of our HVAC systems, they're designed to optimize the climate control, air quality, and reduce the energy usage, and providing a sustainable and clean environment indoor environment for residents. And we've also extended our solutions to smart vehicles and parking solutions. Example, we've got EV charging stations spread across the project. We've got a unique puzzle parking system structure, in addition to various other parking and traffic management systems.
Yeah.
And last but not least, again, on the topic of sustainability, within the project, we're building a gray water treatment facility that'll use to treat gray water, and as a result, we use that for irrigation purposes and reduce our water wastage and again, reduce our carbon footprint. So that's just a small example of many things that we're showing off in this new project, and we look forward to more in the near future.
Thank you for sharing those.
Thanks, Joseph.
Othman, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Well, maybe I'd like to add one more example, which is connecting different things here. What I'm hearing here, we're trying to balance between also sustainability and citizen experience.
Yeah.
So high demand on traffic nowadays and in the future, and this is only going upward. At the same time, high demand on different means of transportation. This is ready to call for what's so-called super mobility platforms that really connect public transportation, micro-mobilities like bikes and scooters, parking on the same journey and experience at the same time. So you want to look at it always from the citizen experience perspective. So how do I get from point A, point B, while I'm saying there's a traffic, what different means of mobility I can use? And this requires really that integration between different heterogeneous environment service providers there, but with, at least with the discussion that I'm having with Dr. Maher, for example, and what RCRC is doing, orchestrating these type of different service provider to come into schemas of sharing data, I think that will spark a lot of innovation related to sustainable cities and smart cities in general.
So if I may elaborate on that, one of the pillars we focus on is obviously smart mobility. And the vision is to have, well, mobility as a service, but mobility as an experience, right? So the whole point is moving from point A to point B, exactly as he described it, but without the hassle of going through different process steps, right? So you just buy one ticket.
Right.
You leave home, you take a scooter, you take a bus, you take a metro, you rent a car, you reach your destination, you enter to the event with the same ticket, and you leave and you reach home with the same experience. It's only one ticket. You just you have to have one hustle at a time just to buy this ticket. And that opens a lot of doors. And obviously this won't come without a collaboration with the private sector, with different government entities, but most importantly, the engagement of the citizen. This design has to move from a service-centric approach to a customer-centric approach.
Yeah. Thank you. Wow, rich answers, gentlemen. I'd like to transition to talking a little bit about next generation living. And Matthew, I'd like to ask you, what do you think are the most important ways urban living will be impacted, disrupted, improved over the next 3 to 5 years? And which technologies are behind that?
So you've got a whole, so when we have a look at the future of living and our lives, basically there's a lot changing. So when we have a look at the rise of artificial intelligence, it's estimated that AI as it stands today can automate, whether it's fully or partially automate, up to 80% of jobs. Now, on the one hand, when you're living within a city, if you don't have money, that city takes on a very different look and feel. So when we have a look at cities, we really need to think about security for the individual and safety for the individual, which includes things like financial security, health and wellness, and so on and so forth. But really, when we're actually having a look at it from the majority of people's lives, we've got fully autonomous vehicles that are coming through. They're category 3 at the moment. Really, they'll be category 5 in about the next 4 to 5 years. Yeah, we've got new energy developments. So, for example, from a city perspective, you know, the vast majority of us are now paying higher energy prices than ever before. Yeah, to the point, basically, where some people around the world that I meet are now paying 10 times as much for the energy. When we have a look at things like solar grids, you know, blockchain, peer-to-peer energy grids, where your house can generate electricity, it can sell it back to the grid, and you can have an income, that's one thing. But when we have a look at electric vehicles with tied grid storage offer cities a very, very fast way to access stored electricity within a vehicle. When you aggregate those vehicles together, they become a virtual power plant. And individuals can make money by selling the city back electricity. When we have a look at things like health and wellness, there's a particular project in Singapore where the city works for you. So as opposed to being a participant in the city works for you. Now, what I mean by that is by using different, should we say, surveillance technologies. In Singapore, CCTV can understand that you're dehydrated because increasingly these are tricorders. This isn't a smartphone, this is a tricorder. You add artificial intelligence to the camera and you can diagnose lots of diseases. Artificial intelligence to the microphone, I can tell you that you're getting ill or getting dementia and so on and so forth. So by using biometrics and biomarkers in a different way, at a city at scale can very quickly understand the health and wellness of the population. For example, a smart city can understand that if you're walking around slopey-shouldered and you're shuffling your feet, that you're probably a bit depressed or upset. So we're feeding off, as humans, we present information in all kinds of different ways. Physical information, biometric information, and so on and so forth. So different smart cities can pick this information up and say, I see that you're dehydrated. The nearest Starbucks is here, or you get a bottle of water delivered by drone, or I see that you're a bit depressed and upset because of your body language. did you know that there's a park over there where they're doing Tai Chi? And so on and so forth. So by flipping the idea of what a city should be on its head, and by using new technologies to identify different things about an individual, and then the city works for the individual, makes the city adapts to the individual, that's probably one of the biggest changes. But then, even in addition to that, we're seeing crypto cities emerge. So for example, with smart cities, we talk about Internet of Things, edge computing, 5G, artificial intelligence, Web3, blockchain. Increasingly, what if the citizens of your city didn't have to pay any tax? Now, experiments in New York and Miami with companies like Citicoin have demonstrated that edge computing, even your car, when your car starts driving itself, it's a giant supercomputer on wheels. So as a city like NEOM, NEOM won't have exascale computing power. When you aggregate all that computing power together, it will have terabit computing power. So now what happens if a city like NEOM starts using all of the computing power within it to mine cryptocurrency? That cryptocurrency is sold on the open markets, and that's then funds infrastructure. Now in Miami, using that kind of model, they raised over $100 million for new projects without having to tax the individuals. So when we talk about future of living, can you imagine living in a city where they say, if you come to this city, you don't need to pay any sales tax, any income tax, nothing. Now you're probably a bit happier. You've got more money to spend. You're feeling a bit better. So there's lots of different things.
Dr. Sharaf, did you have something you wanted?
I just wanted to comment that we lived in these cities before, but now we have taxes. But I think it's actually quite interesting. And yeah, I kind of agreed that yes, there's always a way to involve citizens as well to help the city and for the city to pay that back to the citizens. And this is what we're doing and what we're focusing on. We're really having a lot of shift from just developing services for the sake of having that services up there. We're looking at the entire journey of the customers, and maybe one thing that maybe I can leave the audience with, and it's actually quite interesting. When we started developing the smart city strategy for Riyadh, we thought that Riyadh is a big city, right? It's a huge city. It's one of the biggest metropolitan cities within the region. And it's not really easy. It's a big challenge that our friends in Mumra have been struggling with for many years. But we know that we're going through a transformation, and we know that there are new districts that are coming up in Riyadh. So we thought that, maybe we can design, and we can specify the top 10 essential services for any customer, for any visitor, individual, students, researcher, businessman, and we put that in a manual, and this is what we did. We created what we call the Smart District Guidelines with 15 essential services, and we started distributing that to all the developers. Now we are in a trial period right now, so we kind of get their feedback to improve it and enhance it, but it has all of these ideas where the smart parking and the smart waste management and the rest of the services, that those are essential services that should exist within any district that we can call smart. But it's very important that they are designed in a way that they can integrate with each other, right? So that's the purpose of the guideline. And once the Roshan projects, once the Gidea project, once the MISC projects start adapting those kind of guidelines, it would be easier for us and for Mumra to get all the different services aligned and integrated. And I think, again, back to integration, back to collaboration, I think it's key, it's always key. And I totally agree, there is a lot that individuals can give back to the city, and I think this is back to his point, and that's what Will said, I guess.
Great, thank you. Well, as predicted, this conversation went quickly. We have about 5 minutes left, so I wanted to give each of the panelists an opportunity for about a minute or so to raise any issue that they'd like or to summarize what they had to say. So let's start with the Deputy Minister.
Actually, I will just go maybe with not expectation, but the future emerging tech that will take place, I think, in the near future is about having like a community engagement platform, incentivizing the citizen to contribute in the city, leveraging maybe the concept of the gamification. How can we engage our citizen in our services in the city operation itself with better engagement and incentivizing approach. So gamification concept arise, community engagement platform arise. Those ideas will drive certain demand in the near future. The second thing is about the leveraging the GPT and AI. This is evolving. And I think within the next 3 years or 5 years, it will have a huge and significant impact. The last thing is about maybe the digital twin, which has been mentioned by Dr. Maher. The digital twin is also another, will unlock a lot of business opportunities to drive like smart command and control centers where we can have like a virtual replica of the city, where we can engage in the urban planning, we can engage in a lot of services can be unlocked, and a lot of business opportunities can be unlocked out of this technology. So I think community engagement platform, GPT and AI, digital twin, this is something we'll drive for a better future.
Thank you. Osman, would you like to share your thoughts?
Yeah, I think focusing on the emerging technology is quite important. Bringing it into scale is another important thing. But I think if there is something that I would leave the audience with is business model innovations. So it's quite important to look at a sustainable business model somehow that leverage these technologies. These technologies are already maturing and scaling to city and even to country scales. But what will make it more sustainable is the business model.
Yeah.
So Matthew gave a very interesting example of reverse electricity generation that comes from homes to the city or to the other homes. These type of business model is very much needed, and the examples goes on and on there. I would always say defining a problem, generating use cases, coming up with the business model, then thinking about technology and how to leverage that is very important.
Thank you. Faraz?
Yes. First of all, I want to thank you, Joseph, and the panel and the audience for a very insightful conversation. I think we've benefited a lot today. I think from my perspective, if I wanted to leave something, I think that future cities are coming sooner than we expect, and I think it's an exciting time to be in that space. I'm very excited to see where AI goes. I think it's making dramatic changes across the real estate value chain, and much, much faster than anyone could have predicted. And I think that's a space that's going to be very, very interesting, more so soon. And I'm honored and proud to be part of that journey. I'm looking forward to see what the future brings.
Thank you. Dr. Shara.
Can I go last?
You want to go last?
Yeah, I'll go last.
All right, you got it. Matthew.
So I suppose I've got two kind of quick summaries. Firstly, I feel that cities should really be a feeling. You know, when we talk about how to develop cities, we talk about communities, civic responsibility, safety, this, that, and everything else. But fundamentally, if you enjoy the city that you live in, when people ask you, do you like that city? It's a feeling.
It is.
So what would happen if we actually started designing cities around a feeling? And then moving to sort of the technology point, as we see so many different emerging technologies coming through, one of the biggest issues that we're going to have with cities is what we've always seen with cities is technology obsolescence. So as we start building all of these different things into cities, whether it's sensors, whether it's communication, in-fiber communication systems, space-based satellite systems, et cetera, how do we actually avoid smart cities becoming obsolete to the point where in 20 years' time we say your connected home used to be great until we unplugged everything and discontinued the support for your 20-year-old operating system? So that's what I think, those are the 2 points I'd have. City as a feeling and try to avoid technology obsolescence.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Dr.
Okay,
Shah.
so my last statement would be people used to say, think big, start small. I would say, think big, start smart. And by the design, by the planning of anything that we want to achieve, I think the sky is always the limit. So I would leave that with the audience, and thank you very much for having me today, and thank you all for sparing your time or valuable time to listen to us. Thank you.
Yes, thank you all. Fascinating conversation. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.